She won't bend and I won't break, breaking down the fault I made. How much more this time? When lightning strikes inside your house, how much can I take from you? Sometimes the only way out is dancing up the ceiling. The hardest way out is slipping, slipping. But we're not gonna fade. Only time can fade away. Don't let us fade out. Amsterdam since yesterday. Yesterday slipped away. Am I wasting time? I'm watching a film where the differences of you and I are like watching the sunset rise. Sometimes the only way out is dancing up the ceiling. The hardest way out is slipping, slipping. But we're not gonna fade. Only time can fade away. Don't let us fade out. Slipping, slipping away. Slipping, slipping away. I'm slipping to where you are. Sometimes the only way out is dancing up the ceiling. The hardest way out is slipping, slipping. But we're not gonna fade. Only time can fade away. Don't let us fade out. Slipping, slipping
You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian,
and
Keith Cheatham.
we are back yet again. Another Tuesday
We are.
and another show. Like we
Yeah.
are every single week here on the Red Moon Podcast. Don't you just love it?
We're consistent.
I know. I just love Tuesday nights. It's like my favorite night of the week. Get to be with all our peeps out there in Radioland / TV Land. I don't think TV Land is, well, it's Webland, I guess.
Webland.
Because we're not really on the TV.
I'm on the TV.
You're on the TV?
Yeah, some people might
That's
stream
true.
this to their television. You don't know.
That's
Neil
true.
and
They
Megan
have,
do.
Yeah, if they have the YouTube app.
So therefore, we are on
I
TV.
didn't know. You're accurate.
I
would also
am
like to thank
accurate.
Flicks with Nick. Yes, it is a YouTube channel
Huh.
that subscribed to us.
Nice.
They liked our review last week
Good.
of
As-
Synchronic.
As well they should.
Well, because it was wonderfully written by you, Mr. Cheatham.
No, I was just gonna say because it was
They
a
were
good
very
show.
pleased. Well, and we also
Yeah.
got feedback on our review from Judas and the Black Messiah.
Mm.
Someone had reviewed, or they commented on our stream that week, and they said, I probably would differ with your views, but your review was unbiased, and I appreciate that.
Well,
So
We
look, we've
here's-
got
here's-
listeners
nice.
and
Here's the
people
thing.
following us. They
I-
like what we're
I wanna
saying.
comment
we
on
follow
that
them back?
because I appreciate that.
We're going to.
Oh, absolutely.
We're working
Well,
on that
absolutely.
this week.
But I appreciate that because I do like to think we make our views known.
Oh, yeah.
We do.
Absolutely.
But we do always try to come out unbiasedly,
Yeah.
and I think we do a
Well,
good job of
we
that.
try to cater to. Not, I don't want to say cater to both sides. We try to be
Well, we're
even-handed.
open for everybody. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't. We want everybody to watch, no matter what
Absolutely.
spectrum they're on. We just want,
We're
we
doing
want
spectrums
viewers. We're
now.
desperate.
Yeah.
Now
We're
we're doing
desperate.
spectrums.
Well, now
We're desperate. We need viewers. No.
and we need ad revenue.
No, I
Spectrum.
Yes,
feel like there's
yes.
plenty of movies that maybe differ with my views, but they're still good movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
And
yeah,
we're going to
yeah.
rate them accordingly.
Well, I think that's the
no
thing
doubt.
is we've gotten so far into the day where you can't watch anything because everything's offensive and it gets ridiculous. It's
Yep.
like, look,
Yep.
if you disagree with something, that's fine. You can still enjoy something just because it may not cater exactly to your view.
Right, and we've definitely
That's my
talked
rant.
about.
though.
No. That's exactly what we're here to do
Good
every
rant.
single week. And we bring our own opinions to the table. We ask that any viewers who disagree with us,
Yeah.
they bring their opinions to the table. And the fact is in this day and age of cancel culture, we can
In
promise
this
you
day
this.
and age.
If there's a web service out there that will block you or your comments, they may do it, but we won't.
We never
You
will.
bring it, you tell us what you're thinking, and we will let it be
We
heard.
can't promise that if you leave a comment on Facebook, Facebook won't censor
Right.
it.
Yeah,
But we won't.
Absolutely. You can send us an email.
Yeah.
RMPodcast
And we'll read it right here on the show.
Please
exactly.
do.
Please do throughout the show. Comment, like, share, subscribe. Do all those things for the social media.
The social
Giants.
medias.
I gotta throw it up there on the bottom of the screen.
it, do
'cause
it.
I don't have this usually ready.
I'm just
but I have to have it ready because we're promoting it. And why don't we?
There's
promote
so much of all of this, like bringing back the past, and it's all negative. And I'm
Oh,
so
yeah.
glad that tonight we get to review a movie that brings something back from the past in a
It's so
positive
good.
way.
It's so good.
And
Yes.
it doesn't shy away from taboo topics.
Yep.
Nope.
I love that. I mean, I'm getting tired of the cancel culture, tired of canceling Dr. Seuss, Pepe Le Pew, Mr. Potato Head.
It's like every single
Speedy
week.
Gonzalez.
Oh
It's
no,
it's
Potato
Yeah.
Head. They've.
Oh no, they
Yeah,
backtracked
they
on that.
backtracked.
Yeah.
They said, oh no, yeah, they felt the heat on that one.
But still, agreed. It's like every single week, it seems like there's some new piece of news of something that's canceled from yesteryear.
Yep.
But
And it's ridiculous.
the movie that Sean referenced, which we reviewed, not only brings back from the past, but adds new to it and is unashamed of doing so. And I thought it was very well done. And that is Coming to America, with the number 2 replacing the TO, a sequel to obviously the first Coming to America. And here's the review. Nostalgia continues to reign supreme in Hollywood as studios continue to reboot, remake, or revive long-dead franchises. In some cases, like Blade Runner, a sequel had been long thought about but never come to fruition until decades later. This is the case with one of Eddie Murphy's most popular classics, Coming to America. With sequel talk happening off and on throughout the years, Coming to America 2 has finally arrived over 30 years later. seeing the return of Eddie Murphy in the role of Prince Akeem Jafar of the fictional African nation of Zamunda, with most of the original cast returning, including Arsenio Hall, James Earl Jones, Sherry Headley, and John Amos, coming to America, shows the passing of the kingdom of Zamunda from the rule of King Jafar, played by James Earl Jones, to Prince Akeem. On his deathbed, King Jaffa informs Akeem that he has an illegitimate son conceived on Akeem's first visit to America during the events of the first movie. As all of Akeem's children, with Queen Lisa, again portrayed by Sherry Headley, are female, Akeem has no heir to the throne unless he promises his eldest daughter, Mika's, portrayed by Kiki Lane, hand in marriage to the son of General Izzy, played by Wesley Snipes, the military dictator of rival nation Nextdoria, whose sister Akeem rejected in the first film. If Akeem fails to consent to the marriage, General Izzy plans on having him assassinated, taking Zamunda by force. To prevent this, Akeem once again travels to America to retrieve his son Lavelle, played by Jermaine Fowler, much to the disapproval of his wife and Mika, who has longed to become the legitimate ruler of Zamunda, having been raised to do so. Directed by Craig Brewer, who directed Murphy in Dolomite Is My Name, Coming to America pays homage to the first film while also being its own story, set in the modern world. We get to see more of the nation of Zamunda and its culture as Lavelle is brought back to Africa with his mom, played by Leslie Jones, to be made Zamunda's king. As cultures clash, much of what made the first film funny is brought back. Coming to America does a terrific job of honoring past jokes and the first film's humor, while also adding more wit and commentary to current society. Honestly, the jokes I laughed hardest at were the ones I was shocked the film bothered to tackle. While many critics criticized the film for making light of woke topics, I found it refreshing that we could still laugh at some things and make fun of the absurdity of today's current climate. The film likewise has more heartfelt scenes than the original. Nothing revolutionary that will yank the heartstrings, but still solid moments that give pause to the narrative and allow characters some depth. Overall, Coming to America is a fine sequel for a film made over 30 years ago. It doesn't reinvent the wheel, but doesn't need to. It has plenty of faults and jokes that fall flat, but I never felt it ran a joke into the ground like the first film sometimes did, allowing for more variety in its humor. I give Coming to America 3 out of 4 stars.
3 out of 4 stars for
Yeah.
Coming to America.
Agreed.
I'm telling you, it's funny because we're sitting here and just talking about it.
I laughed.
I mean,
honestly, I think
almost missed our cue.
I laughed
Yeah.
more during this one than the first one. I
can agree with that.
I thought there was
Same.
just a lot more wit in this one. And I mean, it never missed a beat. Like Sean, you mentioned while we were still listening to the review that it almost felt like it was made back to back because
yeah.
I mean, a lot of times sequels made 30 years later just they missed the mark entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and a lot of their cast, they show their age.
True.
Yes.
Quite a
Yeah.
bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And thankfully for these characters, I mean, even for the characters they play
Yeah.
from the original movie in makeup.
Well,
they're-
and of course,
don't miss a
this
beat.
is meant to take place 30 years later
Yes.
with
Yep.
him having, Prince Akeem now having children, and the whole plot revolves around the fact that he has an illegitimate son that he didn't know about still in America, and he needs an heir to the throne, so he goes to get him. But, I mean, yeah, I thought so often sequels to comedies are just rehashes of the first comedy.
Well, they tell the same jokes.
And they're the same. Yeah,
Yes.
the same
Yes,
joke. I
everything.
mentioned, Hangover 2 was basically the same movie as Hangover 1. Even as much as I love both of these movies, even Ghostbusters 2 reused a lot of material from Ghostbusters 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like this paid homage to the first one without rehashing every little thing and bringing back the characters from the first one, but making it make sense on why they're in this movie.
Yeah.
They're not
Right.
just thrown in there just because it's like, oh, well, they were in the first and popular, so we got to put them in this one.
But
they
even-
actually had purpose.
Even the crossover between this movie and Trading Places.
places, yeah.
How they kind of cross over from Coming to America, the first movie
Yes.
crosses over with that. This one did it in a tasteful way.
With the first
too,
movie,
yeah,
Coming
and
to
it's
America.
so good. And if you haven't seen that movie with
Yeah,
Eddie
you
Murphy
should watch
and Dan
Trading
Aykroyd,
Places.
you need to watch that one too.
Absolutely.
The two homeless white men in the first Coming to America, they're the villains in Trading Places.
Yes,
Ah,
they're
the
the
joke
rich
was-
people.
Yeah,
that,
they were rich, and then they
Yeah.
get taken down.
That's
so
and it's funny because it's like that explains the whole scene when they come up to the mirror. He's like, "We're back, we're
Yes,
back." Yeah,
yes.
thanks so much.
Yes. And then, of
okay.
course, in this one, I don't know if you noticed, but the portrait behind, when the guy's like, my father ran this business, that was the same.
Okay, I
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
But it's funny because, I honestly, I felt the same way. I laughed more with this film than the first film. I thought the first film actually was my first time viewing it was before I saw this one. And of course I had to see the first one. And it's sad. Look, trust me, just like with Trading Places, I'm like, I have a backlog, a huge backlog of movies that a lot of people would crap all over me for that I haven't seen.
Yeah.
And say, how could you do a movie podcast? And
How
not see
can
these?
you?
But I will say this film, I thought the first one was okay. I understand why it's iconic, but I understand that it was probably more iconic because of Eddie Murphy's fame at that time.
Yeah.
And just
Well,
like
it was
something
his
with
second big movie. Trading
Yeah.
Places was his first like big movie.
Well, and that's the
so-
thing. I think with
Yeah.
someone like a Kevin Hart, or he would be somebody that I feel like he's gonna have a popular movie that comes out now because he's just popular in pop culture. Same with The Rock, even. I mean, it's like he's made several more movies and he's in big blockbusters, but it's like his name is tied to certain franchises and he's an action hero.
Yeah.
But it's like who knows if 30 years we're gonna tell our kids, yeah, that movie with Dwayne Johnson it's great, and then they're gonna watch it and
Central
be like,
Intelligence.
yeah,
Is awesome.
So that's the thing is
Skyscraper.
that
Skyscraper's fantastic.
the first Coming to America is still a good movie.
It
I mean,
is,
it's not
Yes.
and I
the
don't mean
best.
I'm not crapping all over it, but I was pleasantly surprised when this, from the start, immediately had me laughing. And like the funeral scene by far,
Oh yes.
is one of the reasons to absolutely watch this movie just for that scene.
Well,
by
I
And
I
it's
think
early
the
on.
barbershop scenes are the best scenes
Are the
in
best.
both films.
I
do love it.
I do love the barbershop
Yeah.
scenes.
Yeah.
Gosh, I wanted to point out, because I mentioned this to Brandon, because it occurred to me halfway through watching the second one. The first one is R-rated. I mean, there's nudity and
Yeah.
tons of F-bombs.
Yes.
Halfway through this, I realized it's like there's been no nudity and no F-bombs. Is this
Yeah.
not rated R? And it's not. It's PG-13.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like, and it was fine. It did not hurt the movie at all to
No.
be rated PG. And I was like, this goes to show that you don't have to have nudity and F-bombs to
No.
be funny. Because I
Yep.
feel like
Not
this
at all.
movie was actually funnier than the
Yep.
first.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I agree, and I actually was. It caught me off guard because there is a very specific scene where the son comes back to the palace and he's about to get bathed.
Oh, yes.
And of course, the women walk in and they're not topless. Like that's the first scene in
Yes.
the first
Yeah.
movie. And it was funny because as soon as I saw it, it actually kind of took me back because I'm like, you would think it would be in reverse.
Yeah.
That it would have been not topless in the first one, and they would have been topless now.
Yeah.
But of course, and they even that brings up the other point I was going to make about this one. They make so many faithful, homages to the original, but they do it in such a tasteful way that it's not overdone, and that the actual joke pays off. The tipping of the hat pays off to the original. They don't overdo it. Very rarely do they depend as a crutch on harkening back to the original for it to pay off.
Yeah.
It has its own story.
It does.
Yeah.
It has its own story, and every time they do bring up something, I mean, and it's literally sprinkled throughout.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's from start to finish, and even ending with something that is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Well, some of it's so subtle that it took me a second to catch it. Like I didn't watch them back to back. The last time I saw Coming to America was years ago, but I do remember the film pretty well. And just right towards the beginning of the second film, there's the scene where I think Wesley Snipes is there, and he brings in
His sister?
the sister that's
Yes.
barking like the dog
Oh,
still,
yes,
and I'm just
yes.
like, what is going on? And then I remembered. I was
Yeah.
like, oh yes, he says,
Hop
would
on
you
one
hop
foot
on one
and
foot,
bark.
bark like a
He's
dog?
still
And he
barking.
never
still
told
doing
her.
it.
Yeah, he never told her
Yeah,
to
and I'm
stop.
just like, that's so perfect. Like, if you hadn't seen the first movie, you'd
Yeah.
have no idea
And they're like,
what is going on.
the
but
fact that they bring her
oh,
back
man.
later too, and,
Oh, I
and she's
know.
like, "Oh, we finally got her to stop," and she's like,
Yeah, I really enjoyed Wesley
Yes.
Snipes' character. I thought he was played a good like antagonist to the film. There were lots of throwbacks, like one scene I caught while I was recording my film. The review with Brandon that came up was the elephant, and I love that when he's like, "My friend Baba, yes, come
Yeah.
Baba,"
Yes.
and it's like the
Because it
same
was the little
elephant
elephant
from
that
the
runs
first
across
one, yeah.
the field.
and,
Yeah.
and it's very well done. And I actually thought that, I mean, not that there weren't like good like emotional parts in the first, like the subway scene between him and Lisa was fine, but I felt like in this one they kind of had more throwbacks, like with the funeral scene, and then of course when he
Also
goes
with
to
his daughter
John,
and
when-
everything. Yeah.
with when he has like those heart to hearts with Lisa, his wife now, who is queen, and his daughter, and even like when he goes to McDowell's and gets advice from his father-in-law, John Amos's character. I was like, that I actually was really impressed with that scene because I wasn't expecting much from it. Because I mean it is a comedy, but I actually thought like just his harkening back of needing that fatherly advice and getting it from his father-in-law, and even that throwback of like, well, what do you think your mother would think too?
Yes.
And I love that because she was the one in the first that convinced James Earl Jones's character, well, you're king, you can do what you want.
Right.
So,
Well, and that's the funny thing is I think a lot of people could accuse and people may even point the finger at us to be the first to do so, but could accuse this film as being one of those that would slip under the woke radar. And honestly, I think you see a lot of critical response and a lot of audience scores that are not liking this film simply because it's not woke enough. And what I love about this is for me, if it was woke, it would have completely done a disservice to the original film that was made in the 80s. Because the fact of the matter is what I love is so much of this film seemed like a continuation of that film and that movie. That's what made it a successful sequel to me. And that's what made me like this film a lot better than even the first. I would venture to say that I like this movie, and it's more watchable to me than the first movie. The first movie is good to watch. It may be iconic for certain reasons, but it's definitely one of those where, okay, I've seen it. I don't need to rewatch it anytime soon. This one is actually something I could revisit. And I liked the different cultural tones that they added in there, bringing in some newer elements with like the singing and the music. Even like bringing in traditional, like you had Salt and Pepper, Gladys Knight, and then you also have like his son in the movie, LeVar. He ends up or Lavelle. I screwed it up. LeVar.
It's not Aladdin. It's
yeah, that's true. That's not more Arabic. But you have his son, and you have different musical talents throughout. That I thought it peppered it with a flavor that made it for today's generation, but it didn't change any of the fundamental characteristics from the characters that were in the original. And that's what I liked about
and
it.
you mentioned like The Rock and Kevin Hart, and it'd be so easy for them to bring new characters from this generation, like Kevin Hart or The Rock or Dave Chappelle even, or somebody like that, like to bring them into this film and add a new character. But instead, they stuck with the old characters. They stuck with the original to bring all of those people back for this film. And really,
and then
we talk about Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall not missing a beat, but every character falls right back into that role. I mean, to be honest with you, for a lot of them, that was probably one of the biggest movies they were ever in.
Look at the butler guy. I don't know the actor's name.
Yeah,
I've never seen him in anything but the first one, and now
his wife.
And he was great.
His wife, I haven't seen her in anything.
I've never seen her in anything.
And she looked incredible coming back. I was like, holy crap, they got the original.
But they could have easily trashed the movie by bringing some outside or newer, generation comedians into the film just to throw them in there to put a newer big name in there.
I mean, the only like newish bigger was Leslie Jones, and that was it.
No, Tracy Morgan.
Well,
Tracy Morgan.
Tracy
Morgan
was
in there.
I can't believe I forgot about him.
But I mean, they still stuck with. I mean, you had to have some new characters, but they didn't get any huge, massive like The Rock or somebody that would
I don't know his name, but I'm going to call him the white guy. The white guy that interviews his son in the beginning of the movie was like he's a faithful SNL character. That's
he's in the Tom and Jerry movie.
Oh, okay.
He's like one of the main characters.
Weekend
I can't even think of who. Yeah, I'm not
I
sure.
can't think of his name either.
But I don't even remember from this movie who you're talking about. I don't remember
he's the one who interviews him. His father is
yes.
banker.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking news interview, not
no
job interview.
But
okay,
it is funny because I'm just sitting here and I'm like, they added. I liked that they brought everybody back and they added enough of what would be considered to like
even bringing Louis
newer
Anderson.
generation.
What is Louis?
Yeah,
he hasn't done anything in years, so it's just cool to see him. Like, even though it's not a huge part, it's still fun to see him in there. Yeah,
and I don't think that they utilized or I don't think that they butchered their returning of those characters and just in favor of trying to be like, well, we're going to bring them in just to try to bring old eyeballs back.
Yeah,
it's like no, they actually do those characters justice. Yeah, and I'm glad.
Well, it felt like a natural progression of the story. Yes. It's like, okay, it's 30 years later, he's now becoming king.
Well, it's really
he
funny
needs an heir, and it fits.
And I don't know if I may be the only one who saw it going this way, but I actually thought towards the beginning of the film that that the son was going to end up falling in love with his daughter,
I
and
did
that you
too,
would find
actually.
out that it's not really his son,
Yes.
and that he really went to America
I
and
told
found
Keith
his son-in-law.
that right before
you
he
know?
cut the review. I actually thought, I was like, the way they had a
Yeah.
one-on-one, I was like,
Yeah.
it kind of seemed like, I was like, but he can't marry his half
But
sister.
But then I thought they were going to find out that
I
she
like
was
the way
a
it went,
liar
though.
and,
Yes.
and everything. But then it was like, instead of going to find his son, he went and found her, a husband or whatever.
But I actually like the way it went more. I like the fact
No,
that
yeah,
it's like
I
they
agree.
have this
Yeah.
blended family now, and I like the fact that you had the contrast between who Prince Akeem was in the first and who Lavelle is in this,
Yeah.
and how they both eventually are just trying to find that person they're truly in love with, like with Lavelle and you know his barber, the female. That,
Yes.
because,
Yes.
like I loved all that,
Yep.
and I thought it was well done. Like the whole story and the point of his oldest daughter who was groomed to be a leader, but because of the laws of that nation, she wasn't allowed to be.
Yep.
I just thought there was
Yeah.
a lot.
And really,
that
that
contrasted
and
with the
really
first.
that right there, the changing of the rules and allowing the woman to lead, and even telling he's the oldest heir to the throne, and having him step aside because that's not his bag. That's what he
doesn't
wants.
wanna
But that's
do
what
it,
she
yeah.
wants.
Right.
I thought that was about as woke as it got.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I appreciated.
And even
that.
that's not really woke because I mean,
no,
that's
it's
just,
not.
Yeah.
It's girl power. But I mean, other than that,
Yeah,
it
but
fit. It fit perfectly.
Exactly. I was going to say it wasn't forced. It was a natural evolution of, again, it was like, again, I thought it was a hearkening back to the role that the
king.
mom,
Well, yeah.
the queen
Yeah.
makes in the car when she's talking to James Earl Jones in the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's sitting there telling him, like, you're the king of all people who can
Yeah.
change it.
Well,
You can.
And
You
I love
can.
that
Yeah.
conversation between him and his wife Lisa when
Exa-
she's
and it's
like,
the same-
when
mirrors
you
the same.
when you became king, it's like you were going to make all these changes and make the nation better, and now you're just your father. And I loved that back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good
no,
movie.
Definitely a good movie. Forget what the naysayers say. Don't listen to them.
It's
It's-
got
it's-
low reviews on Rotten Tomatoes,
Yeah.
but they're not
For no
always
reason.
right. They're not
For
always
no
right.
reason whatsoever. It's absolutely preposterous why people would
I
be
enjoyed
complaining.
it.
It's a-
I laughed.
Yep.
I agree. I think it's actually better than the first. Hey, take it from me. Go see it yourself.
Yep.
Amazon Prime if you've got it. If you don't, do a free access.
There's-
you know
there's-
you can.
there's other ways.
Subscribe somehow. But yeah, everybody has Amazon Prime because you know you bum it off somebody else. Like your parents, like me. 30 years old. Sad. All right, guys, we're moving on to our headlines. Let's roll that beautiful footage.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's cultural appropriation right there.
What do you do? It's just improv.
Yeah.
How do you know? How do you know that music?
You don't. You
Just you feel it and you go.
You feel it. It's like you have it in your soul.
Your dog is getting way too excited over here.
People are probably
Music.
tired of hearing us scat over here, Brad.
Yeah.
I'm a scat man.
Scat man. Oh.
Y'all have heard that song, right?
Scat is,
I've heard sax man.
That's
No, I'm
It's
a
like-
sack. I'm a
scat
scat
is
man.
shit, man. That's what
I've
it
heard.
is.
I've heard.
No, it ain't.
Yes, that's what you say. It's like you see that's bear scat
I have heard
over there.
sax
Oh,
man from
okay.
the Lonely
Bear scat.
Island. I've not heard scat man.
Oh, you haven't?
Not
I'll have to
scat
pull
man.
that up.
What's scat man? Who sings that?
It's like some old techno. I don't know. It's from back when it was like there Eric somebody made that song "Call on Me." Call on me, call on me. And then there's like another song that came out around the same
Is
time.
the
called
camera
I'm a
on
Scat
right
Man.
now? I apologize.
Hold on, I'll come to you.
I apologize.
Nobody
looking it
knows
up.
what's happening.
This is a
right now.
Disney apology right here.
No,
I
that,
apologize.
then that comes with a warning. That has to be a warning.
That's true.
You get
on the-
warned and then you get fired.
Here it
but
is.
nobody's going to
I
tell
got
you you
it.
get fired. You're just going to find out about it
Oh,
on the
God,
social
he's got
media.
scat
if I
man.
can play it.
It's not going to sound
I really-
anything like what he just
I
did.
really didn't expect you to find it, but
Oh, yeah. This is in Night at the Roxbury.
See? Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Oh,
old.
yeah, yeah.
No, you got to do the head movement, Shaw.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
They go into the bar in this song. Yeah.
yes, yes.
They
The
walk
be-
into
yes,
the, they make
I've
their
heard-
entrance to this.
I've heard this.
Yeah.
See, everybody's heard it. Everybody knows what the Scat Man.
Scat man.
So it's not. We're just a natural
It was-
evolution.
it
You
was
just
okay.
feel it in your soul and you just go with it.
You feel it. You know what
You
I?
go
I'm
with the
feeling some
improv.
headlines is what I'm feeling.
You know what I
think
feel in my.
everybody is right now.
I feel deep down in my soul.
What is
Yeah.
that?
joy that a movie got moved up instead of pushed back.
That is
I know that's
true,
not
yeah.
our top headline, but
No, it is.
Is it?
It's our top headline.
It should be.
Because the reason it's our top headline is we're hoping maybe this will be the push
Good
for
news.
other movies and other production
New
studios
York's opening up.
to push their
Yeah.
theaters
A-
or push their movies
and-
back up. Into
And
the
now that
theaters.
the theaters are opening there, it's like they feel a little bit of courage in letting movies release. So there's still not much coming out until May, but
No.
May is packed.
It is.
Every month after May is packed full of awesome releases. So
God.
hopefully there's nothing else pushed back, and hopefully we can get back to the theaters
Well, hell,
in May.
okay, so Texas just opens up. They open up tomorrow, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
or today. I can't remember which one it is.
There's
That's
another
Steve.
state that just announced that they're
Connecticut.
opening.
Connecticut is
No,
opening
there's
up.
another
no,
one
no,
in the Midwest
Oh,
that's opening up. Iowa or one of
I
them
thought
is
there was
opening up all the
Mississippi.
way.
One of
Not
the
sure.
M states was supposed to be opening. up.
Montana. I don't know.
Maybe.
Michigan. Can we name your 50 states?
I don't think it's
50
Michigan.
nifty United States. I'm just getting on a singing binge
Pull that one
tonight.
up on Apple Music too. All right.
Hey, that reminds me. I learned that in 5th grade,
Did you?
along with
The 50 nifty
It's
United
a Kwanzaa celebration.
States. I didn't learn either of those.
You didn't
No.
learn that one?
I've heard that song.
Hey, my notes just updated.
Hey,
Did you hear that?
There you go. You got the latest headlines.
but
Any
definitely-
more movies on there
definitely-
that are coming to theaters?
But
No.
The Quiet Place 2 was originally supposed to come out in the fall. Actually, it was supposed to come out last year, but
Yeah.
then they got moved
Yeah.
back to the fall of this year. Now it's been moved up to May because they said, hey, nothing's
It's
coming
May.
out that weekend.
Hey.
And
It's
theaters
Memorial
is-
Day
it's
weekend.
Memorial weekend.
Could this be the movie that breaks the
And-
trend, that brings back
well, there's
blockbuster-sized
supposed to be
numbers?
more, like Black Widow is supposed to come out before this. So, I mean, hope.
But is it?
So if
we
it doesn't
still
get
don't
moved
know.
back,
Is it going to be
hopefully-
Disney Plus exclusive?
Oh, no. Kevin
They've
Feige's
said-
fighting that hard.
He's fighting it, but he's not. He's not the CEO.
He's
Yeah.
not.
No.
They've so far. I don't think they're going to put it on Disney Plus if everything's
hope
opening up
not.
by May, because they want those blockbusters.
They want the
still.
monies.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
monies.
The monies.
Gotta get the monies.
Raya and the Last Dragon was a flop.
Good.
Mm.
It deserves to
It
be. 'Cause
sucked.
I'm sick and tired of this
Was it
charging
wait,
$30
money wise? You just said it
I don't
sucks.
know if it. I don't know how much money it made.
It's
but
not
it
a flop just
sucks.
because you didn't like it.
We don't know. We don't know
I
because
actually-
it just came out. We
Yeah.
don't know. We don't know the streaming numbers on it.
We don't know
if it's
what
been a
what it did.
success.
Yeah.
They'll probably never ever tell us. If it is a flop, it'll just go under the
I thought it
radar.
was
$30
okay.
bucks. That's insane.
Oh, I wouldn't pay
ridiculous.
$30. No, but it was. It was.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
I hated it.
Oh, really?
Oh, you did?
I hated
I
it.
loved the.
Did you watch it?
the animation
The
and
actual way?
The no.
It's
I'd pay
Moana in
$30.
China.
Really?
It's almost the
I've not
exact same
seen it.
movie
Oh,
as
I didn't
Moana.
think it was anything like Moana.
It's
I don't know.
absolutely like
I just-
Moana.
I love
like
the.
Did you watch it too?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love
I've watched it like 12 times
the,
already.
The animation is gorgeous,
that's
which I
true.
mean you expect from Disney.
Well, yeah.
And the fight choreography was. I love all the action scenes.
It
I
does
can't
have
stand the dialogue
Martial
of the
arts.
film.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. It's not the first movie to do this. It's like a Chinese fantasy tale, so
Yeah.
it's not actually set in a real world setting, but it's like Chinese Middle Earth. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like ancient China, but they speak with like modern slang. And I know it's not the only movie to do that, but it's so excessive in this movie that like every time like I couldn't get into it because I'm like they'd have a really cool fight scene and I'm like, oh wow, this fight's amazing. And then they'd get to a slow scene and they'd start talking and I'm like, okay, now they're annoying me.
Well, I hate to disappoint our listeners. We're not doing a formal review of Raya.
Well, this is our informal
so that.
review.
Well, that's what I
Yeah,
was going to
yeah.
ask.
I give
you.
it 2.5.
And I mean, I'm
Okay.
glad we got to disagree. I give it 2.
Two?
Two?
Okay, I
Yeah.
give it 2.5.
So you all are saying it's worth a watch if it was free?
I didn't watch it all in one go because I got bored.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
That's
stopped-
how bad
it took my
was.
kids 2 or 3 goes to sit through the whole thing.
I watched half
Wow.
of it, and then I turned on the
But
Muppet Show because I got
it is. If
bored,
you wa-
and
I'm
then I
telling
watched
you,
the rest of it the next
if
day.
you watch Moana and look at the structure of the story and even the elements of the story, it is the same freaking movie.
Now-
Moana's got the heart of Tafiti, and this movie's got the little
Well,
dragon
it's
orb.
the crystal that was
Shiny.
split
You gotta,
into
I
five.
mean, right? It's the same thing. Everything's gonna
think
die if we don't put the stone back where it goes.
Tropes are
That's-
kind of the same, but I don't know,
I
that.
know.
I don't know. I didn't think it was
Different
so much
feel,
like,
different
now,
heart.
Moana, I think, is a much better movie. I will
Oh,
give you that.
absolutely.
I didn't
Yeah.
think it was Moana, but I didn't think it was a great movie.
Well, I can tell you
It was
right
a-
now,
Well, what
I'm
pissed
not
me off
watching it.
about it, I'm going to tell you, it offended me. This is what pissed me off. Every character in the film is voiced by an Asian character.
Yeah.
An Asian actor.
Why did that offend
But
you?
none of them talk like they're Asian. They all speak American. They all talk like they're from Kentucky.
So why can't they?
Well, I don't know that they talk like they're from Kentucky.
I'm just saying. They talk like
They
us.
just had, I don't know.
They all had
sound
American accents. None of them had.
Well, why would
even
they have to have Asian? That's
because
racist.
it's not racist. It's
No,
their
here-
culture.
But here's the thing. It would
I thought
make
they sounded
sense.
Asian to me.
Oh, they did?
To me, I thought they sounded Asian.
Okay.
Oh my god!
I mean, they were voiced by Asian people.
Asian
I don't know what you
Americans.
mean by
Because here's my only question. If they don't sound Asian, I understand the point of at least asking, why would you go to such strides to say this Asian cast?
They had a
that is
full
a cartoon.
Asian cast.
It has to be an Asian
One of
cast
them,
if
the
they're not
main
gonna have
character,
Asian-
sounds like Blake Lively. I thought it was Blake Lively. I had to look it up.
Really? It's Kelly Marie Tran.
I know, and
From
then
Star
she
Wars.
sounds like.
Kelly Marie Chan is white.
I'm telling you,
She's not Asian.
she sounds like Blake Lively. And
I
then
didn't think she sounded anything like
there was
Blake
an old
Lively.
woman that I was like, that's freaking Betty White. My wife looked at me and was like, it does sound like Betty White. Then I looked it up and it's some old Asian woman, and I'm just like, I don't even know who that
Asians don't
is.
have to have thick accents.
I understand that, but when you're making a movie like Moana,
Yeah.
they had Asian.
Pacific Island.
Yeah, they had Asian accents. I
They
mean,
didn't have Asian. They weren't in Asia.
sorry, China's not in Asia.
Moana's not from China. That's it's Pacific Island. It's
they're-
I
like,
thought
like,
Moana was
No,
in
they
China.
would.
No.
No, they would be technically. It's
like
like,
The Rock.
Samoan.
Samoan.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Moana?
Yes.
Yeah. That's
No,
what-
no, I'm sorry, Mulan.
Mulan.
I'm thinking
yes.
about
Oh,
Mulan. That's
oh.
China.
Yes.
So wait. Are
Did
you
I-
saying that Raya and the Last Dragon is dead up like Mulan's story, or is it still
No,
like
bruh.
Moana's story?
It's like Moana's story. I'm
Bruh.
saying the accents, like they
Oh, okay,
actually
okay.
put on
So-
Asian
so I
accents for
just-
Mulan.
Just to
Sorry.
clarify, I just want to make
There's
sure.
too many moos going on. Too many movies with moo in them. Mulan, Moana.
Well, the funny thing is, some of the characters in Mulan were voiced by white people, so
I
those
get
were
that.
stereotypical.
I'm just saying they
racist
fixed
accents.
the.
But no, I want to clarify real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
With the
Yeah, yeah.
comparisons.
Yes.
So the story is like
The
Moana.
story structure and a lot of the details are like Moana.
Okay. But as far as
I'm
like,
just saying Mulan actually used
Look,
like
I didn't intend for us to get into
no,
this rabbit
I
hole.
understand that. I'm just saying Mulan, they actually tried to sound like they were from China,
yeah.
speaking English. You know, in
Yeah.
this movie, they didn't try at all. Even the guy from Lost that plays her father or whatever,
Who's
he
that?
talks like
the guy who plays Jin.
Yes.
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 okay.
yes.
Yeah.
They sounded Asian to
Good
me.
actor.
I mean,
I
I wasn't
just-
expecting thick Chinese. It's a
I have
fictional
no
country.
idea.
don't know.
I'm not going to watch the movie. I'll be honest with you.
you should. We need your opinion.
I am
Aquafina
more-
plays the dragon, and I think she's not the dragon. The character again.
I couldn't
The
stand-
dialogue was over. But
I
I think
couldn't stand
Aquafina.
her.
Yeah, I think
she was
Aquafina's-
the most annoying
Yeah.
freaking character in
Yes.
the.
I think Aquafina's hilarious. I didn't think that character was hilarious.
No.
Okay. Which I was going to say, the only movie I've seen her in that I like her, it was Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I have not seen, even though I know you did, The Farewell, which I heard is phenomenal.
It is. It
and
is
I want to
good.
watch that
Yeah.
one.
Okay.
But look, I'm not going to watch it because look,
You should.
whether I can pirate it or not, I'm not going to reward Disney
I
with.
didn't reward them. They didn't get a dime from me.
I know, but I'm not, and they're not going to get a second from me in watching that. I'm not going
I
to.
like Disney. I'm interested to see what they
I
produce.
don't.
Well, dang.
I am tired of supporting that company when they keep ripping me off.
Canceling people.
Exactly. Yeah, no. Oh my gosh, she
get
is.
down. Get down.
Even when we put up a fence, she still tries to.
She's a curious pup.
She is.
Just
What's another headline?
Curious.
We do.
nosy-
We need to move
That
on.
was
well,
a rant.
well,
right? And I
going from
apologize.
going from one children movie to another, if you decided your child might like to watch Tom and Jerry over the weekend, they would have been in for a
You're
surprise.
skipping ahead.
Am
Gosh,
I?
Yeah, because you don't have the headlines updated, do you? Well, no, we're on the Nomadland.
Does it matter which order we
Well,
go
yes,
in?
because I already threw up the lower third.
Well, you didn't tell me you were throwing up that lower third.
Well, it's
we can't
really,
see it,
It's
you know?
really Apple's fault because iCloud didn't update.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been the correct number. So it's not your
we've
fault.
gone out of order before.
We have, but I
We
had
usually
already
don't throw up the lower.
Well, we
till-
did talk
until
about
we
China,
segue.
so let's get into Nomadland.
Exactly. So the fact is Chloe Zhao, who won a Golden Globe, mind you.
Yep.
Asian
They
director.
won 2 Golden Globes for this movie.
She's quite
She's
incredible.
a Chinese director.
Yeah.
And the fact is she has already said, she stated, she was like, there's so many lies everywhere in China.
Oh, yeah.
And she considers
know-
herself
well,
her
when you-
home America.
Yeah.
And the fact is she's now being lambasted. And of course, Nomadland, which
Terrific
embraces kind
movie.
of the freedom of America
Yep.
and the idea of being a nomadic, lifestyle of, hey, you choose your own happiness. Again, a great line from the movie. I'm not homeless, I'm houseless.
Yeah.
Great line. But it's one of those situations where it's like, imagine that. A totalitarian regime taking down
Censoring
your
a
movie,
movie?
Yeah.
because they don't agree with your
It's
ideology.
like over there, you can't choose to be homeless. You just are.
Yeah.
I mean, you're forced to be
That
by
or
the
you
government.
spread COVID.
And I think this is a great example because Hollywood and the white elites in Hollywood will throw a fit and be like, we gotta, it's racist if you don't want to appease China and this and that. But the actual people from China, like Chloe Zhao, or even, I can't think, Ming-Na Wen, which is the original voice of Mulan. She's a phenomenal actress. She plays the bounty hunter that works with Boba Fett in The Mandalorian.
yeah.
She was also in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She even, like, when Mulan came out, spoke out against the live action version because
Yes,
because she
as
was
she
like
should.
because she was like,
Because of the atrocities.
as an Asian American, like, because she was proud of the original and all the changes they make to appease
Oh,
China.
I thought you were
She
talking
was-
about what was going on.
no,
in
no, no,
China.
no. Same thing. I'm getting there. She was saying, like, all the changes and stuff they did to appease China and then filming over there. She was like, now they're just alienating us, the Chinese Americans, who they should actually want to, support and make the movie for, as opposed to, like, this dictatorship. And it's funny how these actual people who come from China and know how bad it is can speak out, but the white liberal elites know better, apparently.
Yeah. Well, and let alone that, but the fact that just the hypocrite.
Leftist. I was leftist.
Leftist.
Not liberal, but leftist.
But there is a difference, sadly. I
Yeah.
mean, and people don't make that distinction enough. But the fact is that's the hypocrisy in general. Here you have Hollywood, and that's kind of the funny thing about it winning the Golden Globes is the Hollywood Foreign Press awarded those. And, of course, we had our rant about the Golden Globes last week and every year and how much we hate them. But it's also funny how they will award some movie like this and they will give the director, Chloe Zhao, a spotlight because, again, she is of foreign descent. And, of course, Hollywood, being as woke as they are, want to push minority, directors, actors, all of these things. And in the midst of doing so, they will completely override the fact and not even bring up and completely, berate China for the fact that they would ban a movie like this over there because of the fact that she makes pro-democracy and pro-America type of value statements, and the fact that they wouldn't even come to her defense. Hollywood wouldn't back her up and say, I mean, we were just talking about Mulan. Think about it with Disney. They'll ban someone like Gina Carano, but they won't actually, then they'll applaud the Chinese state for giving them the ability to film in a place where they're executing Muslims.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Christians.
And Christians. And it's absolutely sickening that you have someone like this who is obviously being supported and held as a new director in Hollywood that has taking on fresh new takes, could possibly win and be competing for a Best Director award at the Oscars this year. And yet she's not even being backed up by Hollywood or any mainstream actor or actress going against China. Because heaven forbid we step on that big marketplace. Heaven forbid we actually go against a regime that would support the oppression of people.
Brandon, that's just their culture. They
I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot.
They
You're right.
understand
You're right.
We have our culture, and they
You're
understand.
right.
That's their culture.
Concentration
dare I.
camps are part of their culture.
Yeah.
That's true. How dare I?
Yeah.
How dare I pick on China? Gosh, I'm sorry. Jinping. You
I'm
can't,
honestly,
is that his name?
I don't even.
I don't
who-
remember.
It is now. 'Cause
Ask Biden,
I'm
he
not
knows.
even. I'm not even bothered to look it up. So Xi
Joe
Jinping.
Biden's met him.
No, and it is crazy because honestly, I think Nomadland is a great movie. I'm looking for.
fantastic.
In fact,
I just think it's funny they didn't even censor the film based on its content.
no.
They censored it because of directly
Because
because of
Chloe's out,
comments
yeah.
she's made
Yeah.
in public. And it's like, again, this shows you, this is exactly what we're talking about. This is the argument we're making every time we bring up cancel culture on the show. Every single time there is a threat to take down free press or freedom of expression in this country, we are turning more and more like China. And we need to revolt against that.
Revolt.
That is absolutely not what we need to become. We do not need to tear down people because of their ideas, how harmful you may think they are. People have the ability and the freedom in this country to express themselves, just like she did in making this film. And the fact that the Chinese government won't support it shows you just the stark contrast of who we are as Americans and who they are. And that's the battle we're waging every single day in this country when we try to fight this culture war that's going on right now. And we have to keep fighting it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we have to keep, like, with people like Chloe Zhao, keep them in business. And that's one thing that's great about America is that she can make movies, and she made a damn good one. Nomadland's great.
It's fantastic.
It's, you know, I didn't have a ton, like, I would go see it because it's Marvel, but I didn't have a huge interest in the Eternals. But then when I found out that she's the director, I'm like, well, Nomadland was great.
Yes.
Now I'm kind of interested to see what she does with the Eternals.
Yeah, she's totally.
So
made us
it's one of those
intrigued.
things that those are the opportunities that everybody has, and that people complain about privilege and all this, but we are in a nation where you can do anything you put your mind to, regardless of your situation. And yes, it may be harder for some than others, and it may be a larger battle for you than others. That's part of it, but you still have the opportunity.
Yep.
They don't have that opportunity in China.
No, they don't.
No.
And in fact, every single time they do bring it up as a point of discussion, they are shut out.
It kills me how many people complain about America, and I'm just like, why are people piling over top of each other to get here?
Yes.
If it's so bad, why are they trying to come here?
Yeah.
If this is the worst country on earth.
And why would we try to
it
turn
just-
it into the places they came
Right,
from?
right. And to try to censor or even overthrow someone's opinion of someone who may have come from there, or their family may have come from one of these countries and came to America for those opportunities, that really pisses me off, because I'm like, you're trying to keep that person down when they came to the land of opportunity.
That's right.
And they've got the opportunity and they took it and they're making something of themselves, and all you're trying to do is keep them back under control.
Yes.
It's like they got away from those countries for a reason, and you're trying to throw them back under a tyrannical, regime. And it eats me alive when I hear this stuff, because that's why people do have such a bad opinion about America. As far as, I mean, you look at other countries, and yeah, you've got other people out there. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's people in France and there's people in the UK that would badmouth America. But I'm like,
Of course.
there's not, people aren't flocking to your country.
Yeah.
They're not fighting to try to get across your border.
Right.
And
And I think that what you're bringing up too brings up just the fundamental argument overall, which is, look, there's no problem with wanting to see your country be better. There's no problem with having a difference of opinion from someone else in America who thinks, we should look different. The difference is that people who are waging the war, culture wars in this day and age, they want to radically, fundamentally change what America is from its core system, from its core values. And when you erode that away, you are literally eroding away what it makes people Americans. And that is the problem that we're facing. And that's the reason why these comparisons have to be made to these other countries, because they do it so willingly and freely. The governments just shut down oppression or opposition because they are willing to oppress their people, simply because they know that the moment that oppression creates an uprising and they don't squash it, then they're doomed. They're not in power anymore. And that's exactly what we're fighting in this. We have a country right now full of elitists. We have a country full of elites and full of, the have-nots. And the gap keeps widening because there are those who are elite trying to tell us that we don't have an opinion and that we shouldn't bring it up, and we should shut up and sit down and take it.
it's funny because revolution is what they fear.
Oh, yeah.
But they're creating it.
Yeah.
They're creating one.
Well, especially in America.
Yeah. That's
And
what I'm talking about.
right.
America.
Oh, yeah. Right.
They're going to create a civil war because of the divide.
Yeah.
It's like once you create that divide, once it gets
The-
far
the-
gone, there's no
I was
going
gonna
back.
Say, if there is, though, I mean, that you talk about unity, but when you're just widening the gap
When you
even
keep,
more.
when you keep creating a rift, there's no, it becomes too wide to bridge the gap.
Yes,
you can't
exactly.
extend, and it comes down to on both sides, because I'm not going to sit here and say it's all one side, because there's so many career politicians, even on the right, that have gotten so comfortable where they're at and fear losing that power that they both, I mean, they're willing to kiss each other's butts with, depending on who's in office, just so they can keep that power. And it's sad and ridiculous.
It is sad and ridiculous.
And the next thing you know, the Snyder Cut's getting released early.
And that's the thing, and that's what we don't want to happen. We don't want that to happen in a dictatorial regime.
I want it to happen. I want to see it.
is-
I'm sorry.
I thought it was kind of fun.
I really wish I could have seen the look on some poor child's face when they turned on Tom and Jerry, and they got this horrible, ugly Steppenwolf on screen, and they're like,
That's not the friendly, cute character I
they're
remember.
just like, what
this
is
CG
this?
is off the chain.
when you have Batman dropping F-bombs, because this Snyder Cut is R-rated, and apparently that is so it's like This movie's gonna be
You know
ridiculous.
what's sad is we
I'm
just praised
very
Coming
much
to
be
America.
dark and gritty and
I was gonna say we just praised Coming to America for being PG-13 and actually taking a step back tastefully from rated R that it was in the 80s. And it's funny because Zack Snyder
and now
always just seems to
Superman
do
and
the
Batman
opposite.
are R-rated. And here's the thing. I'm okay with R-rated comic book movies when it makes sense. Deadpool absolutely makes sense to be R-rated. That's the character. That's the way the character is in the comics. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Batman and Superman do not need to be R-rated. I'm sorry.
Swear
and
to
yes,
me.
there are. And I
Mother-
know, and I'll admit, there are dark Batman comics. There are some pretty brutal Batman comics. But you can display that brutality. Christopher Nolan did it just fine. I mean, heck, the pencil trick with the Joker was
Yeah.
brutal enough without having it to be R-rated.
She bites hard. Damn. Talk about somebody's rated R.
Bit me.
She'll draw blood.
like Cujo down here.
Edie bit my finger, Tony.
So
You know,
Sean,
Zack Snyder's movies, though, that's how they. I mean, I love 300. I think that's a good
again,
film.
that
But again,
was-
that's a movie that doesn't need the sex scene that it has.
No.
I mean, it's got Gerard Butler bending his wife over backwards and doing her doggy style.
But
and I'm like, that's
it's-
probably what they
hey.
did.
It's
That's how Spartans do
historically-
it.
It's historically accurate,
Yeah. Well,
and
no.
it needed to show
No.
the force at which
There's nothing
he
about that
had
movie
to take
historically
on.
accurate.
He's lying.
Yes,
It's based on
Leonidas.
Leonidas.
It's based
Right.
on a graphic novel. None of that movie was historic. I mean,
No,
yes,
no, no.
it's based
He's
on the real, but
joking.
none of it. I know he
Obviously.
is. But here's
I'm
the thing.
just saying that wasn't necessary. And even the second
But even the
300
graphic
film
novel,
has a graphic sex scene.
even
I'm
the
like,
graphic
that's not
novel
novel.
has graphic sex in it. That's just Frank Miller's style too.
I get
so,
it, I
and
get
it's
it.
Well, here's
stupid.
that's the problem with Zack Snyder in general. The problem is
He's all style, no substance.
exactly.
yeah,
oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And it works for
But even
300
the-
because that's a movie that's only supposed to be
Be
style.
style,
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing.
True.
He had one movie that style paid off, and it happened to be the one movie that just like launched him into cult status
Well, no,
fame.
Yeah.
to be fair, he started with the remake of Dawn of the Dead, which is a good movie. That's the only solid movie he's ever made. After that, he
300
went to
is too.
300.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, but that one was when he started getting into the real crazy
I
stylistic
still
stuff.
like Sucker Punch. I still like that.
That's fun.
Again, another stylized movie.
Exactly.
But it's fun.
It's
just
over.
like-
I mean,
like,
but it's
here's the
another
thing.
one that's over sexualized though.
And I
too.
would be fine if for one, I would be fine with those kind of movies. Like, look, John Wick knows what John Wick is.
Oh yeah.
And I love
Yeah.
John Wick, and it actually gets deeper.
Yeah.
In the layers that it produces in the sequels, and it fleshes out that world and becomes more rich.
People are like onions.
yeah,
They
you
have
peel back the layers.
layers.
Yeah,
Layers.
but the thing is with Zack Snyder, it literally is surface layer every single time. And why they picked him to take over
you
the
know
DC
what
universe?
Zack Snyder is? You remember we were making 26 years and we made that fake birthday cake? That's Zack Snyder's
Yes.
movies. It looks like a beautiful cake, and then when you cut into it, it's a metal pan.
Yeah, that's right. You just-
Nice.
A metal pan flipped upside down with icing on
Yeah,
top.
I mean, it looks like it looked
Yeah.
really good, and then it's nothing.
Yep. Prop
It's a
master.
nothing burger.
My mom.
It is.
Just got to give her
Yeah.
a shout out there. Fantastic.
Brilliant.
But no,
Brilliant.
Zack Snyder's. The cut's releasing soon, March 18th. You don't have long to wait. It was
Yeah.
taken
It
down.
won't be next week, but the week after.
Oh yeah, no.
Well, it is actually next Friday, but we won't be getting to talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
it until
yeah.
the week after.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is funny because it's like I know some people kind of tuned in and they were probably in for a treat. They got about an hour into the film before it started glitching and then went to a screen.
Well, yeah, 'cause
they
Warner
said they
Brothers had to
found
pull it
out
real
within
fast.
minutes they pulled it, but it's still funny that it did release. And I'm like, for as much anticipation there is about this film, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody was
wasn't.
like, flip the switch, just real quick.
Yep.
Let's just let's keep it in the news
Build
as much
the
as
hype.
we can.
Yep,
Yeah,
keep the hype. Yep.
Exactly. It would not surprise me one bit if especially because HBO Max is. They're not doing too great in the streaming wars.
No,
these
they're
days,
still.
Yeah.
The only thing they have keeping them afloat is the fact that every month there's going to be some new release from Warner
Yeah.
Brothers that'll be.
And honestly, looking at it now, because it has just been so long since that news, I kind of understand. I based on what offerings they have, I kind of get it, and I'm not really blaming Warner Brothers for doing that anymore. I mean, I get why they're trying to boost traffic.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, the theaters are going to open up.
You can only
Let's
watch
hope.
Game of Thrones so many times.
Yeah, exactly.
I won't watch it until they. There's
4K?
There's three.
Yeah.
Yes, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, and Wizard of Oz. I know it's an odd combination, but those three things I've been really
No,
wanting to
that's a
see.
beautiful
I really want to rewatch those in 4K, but HBO Max doesn't have it, and I refuse to watch them on there
I know,
until they
I know.
update it to 4K.
But-
Because all of those have 4K releases,
Yes.
Yeah.
just
And
not
they-
on HBO Max.
But which is
You can watch
sad.
them on my Plex if you want.
That's the sad thing is we always got to revert to another way to do it.
Right.
I'm watching them on the 4K
I've
Blu-ray.
got The
'cause
Hobbit
they're
and Lord of the
gorgeous.
Rings in 4K on there.
I'm telling you, the
It's
discs
insane.
are
I want to see the
gorgeous.
disc.
Yeah.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. All right, guys, I think we're ready to move on to our vices topic this week. Let's roll that open.
Do it. Yeah.
You know, if it ended with a guitar
Yes.
solo, I might shred.
Like,
Whammy bar.
get back on that.
You got. I mean, it's like Rock Band. You had to get the.
I was thinking Wayne's World, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do that too. I was thinking.
worthy. We're not worthy.
I really need them to make a third one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
especially
If they
after
can
the
make
Super
Alice
Bowl
Cooper
ad.
has to be in it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if Coming to America can be as
Oh,
good
that
as it was,
the
they
Super
could.
Bowl commercial.
Yeah,
they
I'm just
nailed
saying,
it.
They nailed it.
If
They
they could,
nailed it.
they could make a Wayne's World 3 and do it justice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No doubt.
Mm.
I think it could happen.
Yep.
And honestly, I haven't seen. Was Dana Carvey retired? Didn't he? Is he out of acting? I don't
No,
think
he still does stuff from
Yeah.
time to time.
I
but
mean,
he's
other
not-
than
not
the
movie-
occasional stint, I don't think he does.
Yeah. I haven't
don't
seen him
know.
in a movie, no, but he does like
Mm.
occasional, like that, or he every now and then guests on SNL.
Still, the
so-
best spot from last year was Rick Moranis coming out of retirement for
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds. That
Yeah.
one,
Mm-hmm.
I forget. The sad thing is, I don't even remember the brand that they were advertising.
I don't.
I don't either.
It had to do with his phone, Ryan Reynolds' phone company, I think.
Or
Oh, Mint Mobile.
Yes,
the
Yeah,
Mint Mobile. That's
yeah,
what it was.
yeah,
that was
yeah.
that was a good
Yeah.
one. That was And then Rick Moranis got mugged. And
Got
it was
punched.
terrible. They
But they
found
got him.
justice.
They
They
got
got
him.
him.
They got
Yeah.
the guy.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. All right, let's move on to our vices
You
topic
bet
this
he
week.
regretted that.
Oh yeah, he better. They should give him the death penalty. Wouldn't it be funny if that was the only criminal to receive
Yeah.
the death penalty in the state of New York in like
Wow.
50
Rick
years?
Moranis. Oh, it's well deserved though.
It's like, sir, we saw what you did.
You punched
death.
one of our true
right.
national treasures. So
Yeah.
Yeah, the Keymaster. You
I'm
punched
really-
the Keymaster.
I'm really praying that he has at least a cameo in the new one. He came out of retirement for the commercial. He's coming out of retirement
I wish
for,
they would push that one
for
up.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
There you go. Afterlife.
If he
needs
can
to
come
sooner.
back for the Honey, I
Absolutely.
Shrunk the Kids reboot, it's like, come on, please do Ghostbusters.
Okay,
Yeah.
why are we talking about movies?
I
on
don't
a
know.
Podcast about movies.
I don't know.
We should be talking about our vices.
Talk about
topic.
Vice. What's our
What's
Vice?
our segment?
Our vices topic. It's a doozy.
Yeah.
I
Is
don't
it?
know. We don't have to. It doesn't have to bring it down, but it is a little bit of a. It's about cowardice.
Cowardice.
A time when you backed down, but should have stood up.
Mm.
That's right.
So which is the Vice? Cowardice or bravery? Or both?
I don't. Can bravery be a vice?
Can cowardice be a vice?
Well, yes, because it's bad.
You're-
a vice is something bad.
Not necessarily. It's something like that you can be like addicted to.
Overindulgent.
You know,
Well,
overindulged.
but bravery could turn into like narcissism,
Yeah,
I guess,
pride,
and then
yeah.
it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Pride would be
Pride,
bad. That would be
yes,
a vice.
pride.
Yeah, there you go.
Hmm.
So, but as far as being cowardly, you know, a
Mm-hmm.
time when you should have stood up for something, but you backed down, and it could be maybe you can
We're
can
just turning
retort
vices
that.
into like sins because there's a bit of a difference.
There is,
Vice
Yeah.
is kind of like an overindulgence.
but for the
Yeah.
times
I
that
don't
we
know
want to
people
do,
that intentionally overindulge in cowardice.
well, there's some though. Look at the Cowardly Lion.
Well, he didn't enjoy being cowardly.
Well,
No.
he
And
was
found
a coward.
he found bravery.
but
Yep.
he
Actually, he was not a coward.
he was not
He
a
repented.
coward, but the problem was he thought he needed.
He had it with him all. He was
needed
brave
it
all
from
along.
Oz.
See, now I want
This
to
is
rewatch Wizard
deep.
of Oz, and
This
I'm
is
not going to watch
deep.
it on HBO Max. I'm going to have to go download a 4K cop now.
But you can also retort this question with a time that you were brave and you didn't back down. Either one. But I wanted to stick with the vice, which is I think turning away.
I got
when you
offered
shouldn't have.
cigarettes in middle school, and I said no. So-
Good for you. And today you don't have cancer because of it.
No, today I smoked
about
cigars,
Cigars and
instead.
pipes. And pipes.
hey, he didn't offer me a cigar. That might have changed everything.
That's right.
It would have for
That's
me.
right, yeah.
I would have started then. Give me that Padron. Give me that.
I want to know, Dare came around every year talking about all these drugs you're going to be offered, and I never once got offered drugs while I was in school.
No, that's
and
true.
I'm just like,
That's
I
true,
never
too.
did
where
either.
were all
I
these
never did.
people
I did get
saying-
offered weed.
Yeah.
That was it.
No,
I
not
didn't
that.
even get offered that.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
one
The
said, "Here,
worst,
you want this
the worst
joint?"
I saw was smoking in the bathroom.
I
in
mean, I
middle
saw
school.
people that smoked,
was
but
it.
they never were like, "You should hit this."
Yeah,
you
no,
know? Yeah.
no. In fact,
Yeah.
they were more so being like, "Man, don't tell." And I'm
Yeah.
like,
That's
because
because they knew that dog was gonna come out and be like, "No, McGruff."
McGruff the crime dog.
Yeah, they didn't
Just
want
say
that
no.
shit.
Dude, he always reminded me of the guy on Unsolved Mysteries
Oh yeah,
because he was dressed up in that coat.
This is not
Yeah.
us discussing a time we
Okay, well,
no.
backed down
look,
when we
mine-
should have stood up.
It's weird. I don't know if I have like a specific moment, but I do
When
have a
you-
lot
when-
of what.
I was just gonna
Did you
say,
have
do you
one?
have a moment where you?
I mean, I do-
stand.
I have a real personal one, but oh gosh, don't bring that up.
I mean, you know.
Truth. Well, Ezra Miller, you do it the best.
What?
You do Ezra Miller the best over there.
What his like little?
Oh, yeah,
screech
you
Yeah,
that he
do
yeah.
does?
that.
You do.
That's what he does. It's
That was a moment where
so awful, man.
Ezra Miller should have just backed down.
Yeah. Ezra
die.
Miller needs to retire from acting now.
yeah,
Honestly.
early,
Oh,
early retirement.
Yes, please.
So anybody have an actual story of a time? I'm trying to think of one. I really am.
No.
I know there's one out there. I'm terrible at thinking of things.
Well, mine's
I
kind
need
of
like
vague.
a week to mull it over.
I'm sorry. I'll start getting them out earlier. But iCloud won't update. So
yeah, I won't know about
wouldn't
it.
have got
till
it
the day
anyway.
But no, all right. So mine, I won't say it's kind of. It's not vague, but it happens a lot, and I'll just say a continual time that I'm cowardly, which is two things. One, there is one situation I'm thinking of. It's pretty personal, but I don't want to bring that up because it's more recent.
That's okay.
But I will say over just lifespan in general, I think we're all faced with times that maybe we can either be a witness for our faith that I've backed down and maybe not taken advantage of.
True.
Yeah, there's plenty of
Um,
times, I'm sure.
And there's definitely plenty of times I've gone with the crowd on certain things when probably shouldn't have or it wasn't in my best interest. Definitely, I would say, when it comes to my politics, especially, I would say in my previous job where I worked, the newsroom was very hostile environment
I would
for
admit
someone
to that.
who would
There's
agree.
plenty of times where if people are talking politics, I just stay silent
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
it's easier than having everybody.
It's
act
easy
like
when you're sitting at a table with like-minded people.
Yes.
like here. But yeah,
When you're-
Well,
you
and
know-
especially when we were talking. I mean,
I'm happy to talk politics with people that are civil, but when there's plenty of times when I could just tell with the environment. It's like, okay,
Yep.
if I mention my views, these people are going to attack me, so I'm just going to
well,
shut up.
it's kind of funny
Yeah.
that we really rarely we disclose our political opinions on this show every single week, and this is live on air to anybody who
They can
follows
see it.
us. They
Yeah.
can see us. Obviously, we know our
I mean, I'm
very
not gonna-
faithful five are always watching.
I'm not going to back down from it. Like if somebody
Well,
I knew
no, of
watched
course
this and said,
not.
"I didn't realize you thought that," it's like, well, yeah, but I mean,
isn't
it doesn't
isn't it
change who I am.
interesting that because we're comfortable on here and we're comfortable with each other, of course we're willing to share it. But it's funny how we're because we always talk about the climate and the culture the way it is today, that we are scared to kind of, this is more hidden. This is much more. People got to dig to find this because we're not on the president level status of
Yeah.
everybody knowing who we are.
Yeah.
It would obviously become a lot harder and a lot harsher should people find out our beliefs. And even though we're very open on here and we don't try to hide it, it's like because we know that the moment people do, we could be ousted from our job, or heaven forbid, people could pick apart what we say and they could immediately hold it against us.
Yeah.
And they could use it in the culture we're in today to say, see, these people are bad.
They're bad.
And they
Well,
should.
it's like I would love
made
to.
a joke.
I would love to like share that we do this at work. Like
Yeah.
I would love to tell people at work, like, man, you need to tune in Tuesday night. But I know there's some of them that if they saw, oh yeah,
it create a
it
controversy.
would absolutely create a
See,
mess,
and
a mess at work.
I honestly, I'm guilty of that as well. There are definitely times where I want to promote the show, tell people, and I do. I tell people, but there's people who I know I've gotten in conversations with, and because they're so comfortable being open about how they agree with a certain side of the spectrum, and it's funny how that always ends up being the left side of the aisle. They always openly share their thoughts
there's
because they
people
think
that-
everybody believes
Yeah.
agrees
Exactly.
with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then it's funny because I can have a conversation with them and not bring it up. I can even kind of steer the conversation away from that and talk about, my thoughts and my opinions without being overtly, right-leaning.
Yeah.
But yet I agree. It's like the moment I bring up the show or the podcast and they're like, oh, what's the name of it? It's like I'm immediately thinking, if you tune in, you're going to be offended by what I say, or you're overtly going to be looking for things that you could use then to say, oh, wow, this guy is bad news. And, and truthfully think that I'm a terrible person.
Yeah.
Because of the views and opinions that I express. And it's kind of sad that we live in that culture this day, this day and age. But Keith, I'm sorry.
This day and age.
This day and age. Oh, gosh.
Well, I wasn't saying
I'm an
anything.
old fogey. You don't have a particular...
I mean, I'll share one. It's not really private or anything like that. I've mentioned it here before on the show. Like years ago, I served at a church as a youth minister, and I will say one that I still regret today, even though it's ancient history. It's over and done with. But we had a new pastor that came into the church and let me go and let the music minister go and let pretty much everybody go, because it was a dictatorship. But there was a moment where he actually made himself alone in a room with my wife and pointed his finger at my wife and put her down, not only as a woman but as a Christian. And there was a moment where if I've ever wanted to actually physically attack somebody, it was him. And when I found out about it, I was absolutely enraged.
Yeah.
And I really don't look back and think, I should have gone and just knocked that guy's lights out, because he was a freaking old feeble man, and I probably would have killed him. But it was a moment where I wish I would have at least spoke up and said something in defense of my wife. I did in a sense, but not to the nature that I should have.
Yeah.
And it still eats at me today, because to have somebody put my wife down like that when she was doing her duty and she was serving in the church and trying to make things better in a climate that he had come in and made very, very hostile. It ate me alive. Yeah. And then and I also, there's a lot of people that other people that should have spoken up that were cowards and didn't do it as well. And I have those people in mind a lot when I think of...
Isn't that interesting? And when you have that retrospect, that there's times too where, you think about it, it's like, never mind, I think us three at this table, we typically do try to look in the mirror before we reflect ourselves back on other people and before we blame other people for our circumstances. And we hardly ever call ourselves a victim. But it isn't it interesting that, yes, definitely, in certain circumstances, we find other people who were also guilty of this. Who didn't stand up and do the right thing. In fact, I remember specifically about a job that I was let go of. I had already found another job. Mm-hmm. I put in my 2 weeks, but I was a part-time hire anyway. But I worked full-time in the summers because I was still going to school in the fall and the spring. And when they found out I put my 2 weeks in, they let me work the first week. And then at the end of that first week, they let me leave that day, that Friday, thinking I was coming in for my final week of work. And I got a call not half hour after I'd already left work, was home. And it was my supervisor who had just said, hey, I wanted to give you a call. Since you put in your 2 weeks and everything, we kind of reviewed it, and we knew you were going on vacation right after that before you started your new job. Well, hell, we're just going to go ahead and give you another week of vacation. You don't have to worry about coming in next week. And I was like, oh, okay. And it kind of caught me off guard. I had been, I didn't even have to give them 2 weeks. It was kind of a courtesy to them.
Sure. Yeah.
I could have easily just said, because I was part-time, oh yeah, by the way, today's my last day. Bye. But, I was doing it as a favor because, again, I'd worked there for 3 years. They knew me. I respected them. I thought they respected me. And it was funny because it not only rubbed me the wrong way, but I was also not receiving pay for that last week. So that was a huge hit to me as a college student. Every dollar counted. And so I went in there Monday because I had actually worked alongside other people. And I shook the hands of my coworkers, and I thanked them, and I told them, what happened. And I just simply said, I went up to the supervisor and, his supervisor shook their hand, and, I thanked him for the opportunity of working there. And I also told him, I said, I don't appreciate what you did. I thought that was a backroom deal. And I don't really respect that too often. And both of them, mind you, said, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have gone down that way. It really wasn't my call. And I looked them both in their eyes and I said, well, you didn't do anything to stop it, did you? And I could tell from both of their two grown men, and a 20-year-old is telling them this. They both had this look of shame on their face. Yeah. And, and it wasn't, I was walking a little taller that day, absolutely. And it wasn't like, maybe back then my pride was getting to me a little bit. Yeah. But it was also the justification of, you did something wrong. I'm going to call you out. And as somebody who is younger than you and looks up to someone of your age, or I should be able to look up to you, you just gave me a reason to look down to you. And it's like, you do kind of feel good when you stand up. And I think it's weird because I think we're all faced with those adversities of backing down when we should stand up. And it's weird because in a non-prideful way, but more in just a justifiable way, kind of like what God talks about in that righteous anger, being able to tell somebody and put them in their place, but know you're doing it for the right reason, not just for your own pride. But it's a hugely encouraging thing. It's definitely, I think, something that would inhibit you from having a vice of being a coward.
Yeah, I think that's probably the main. I mean, really though, that's kind of goes to the reason that it's still even today kind of bangs on my pride, is because I looked at the situation and thought, if I do this, if I say what I really feel right now, I'm justified. Yes, 100% justified. Yes. But there has already been so much damage done to this church and to these people and to these committees and all of this other, stuff that just, churches and committees. Oh my God. But that's another story. But it's like there had already been so much done that I thought to myself, if I do this, not only is that going to be me leaving this church earlier than I did, but it's going to do more damage. Yeah. And I was just like, I don't want to cause more damage. I want to be the one who was here while the damage was being done the whole time. Yes. The one who stuck it out, or the one who went down with a ship. Yeah. Because, I really was the only person left from the original staff. And it was just, people were rooting for me to stay. No, please don't leave. Please don't leave. Just tough it out. This isn't going to last long. And it lasted longer than me. But that was one of those situations where that's like my pride still today. I'm just like, I wish I would have done this. Yes. I wish I would have spoke out. I wish I would have said something. But I also know that I may have caused more damage or hurt other people.
It could have been worse than. Yeah. And again,
so sometimes backing down is the right thing.
I was going to say, having that retrospective, it could have made you stronger for another instance of adversity, another instance where you would face that, that same kind of confrontation and having to stand up and fight for what you believe in and fight to say the right thing in a moment like that. Because maybe at that point you didn't. Maybe at that time it was a little bit more anger than righteousness, And it's funny, but it's like, I think that's the other thing I think is interesting is especially with considering this topic. It's like how often you kind of reflect on how you evolve as a person and how you handle certain situations when you are your back is against the wall, because sometimes you do lash out. Sometimes you are not the type of person that so many who love you and know who you are, you're not that type of person in that instance, but you are deeper, your soul is deeper than that. And so I think it's interesting, but over time, having that reflection, having those experiences help mold you into, I think, becoming a better version of what God has made you and who God has made you. Keith, I don't know if you have any specific interest
or right now.
Instance.
Huh?
Nada? Well, but maybe you weren't impacted by our words of wisdom or what we shared today.
Well, I know there's been times in my past I'm just not pulling up anything.
Yeah. No worries.
Yeah. He's backing down.
You know what?
Right now.
Can't back down if you can't think of nothing.
I know.
No, actually, you know what you could do though, Keith?
What's that?
If you did think of something later on this week,
I'd probably just text you all.
I knew you were going to say that. But if you didn't have our numbers, if your phone fell into a pool,
What's waterproof?
I get on Facebook and message you. Which people could do for
Sorry,
us.
it's water
But if
resistant.
somebody else had a story that they wanted to share with us.
Yeah. What
And
about
my phone,
that?
The phone is waterproof, by the way. Thank you, Sean, for
Well,
reminding
it's
me.
not
of that.
waterproof.
water resistant.
There you go. That is correct.
It'll go down. I forget how many feet.
4 meters, I think, is what it is.
Right.
Which is pretty deep.
It's been to the bottom of my pool.
That's 4 yardsticks
It's been to the bottom of my
for
pool.
our American imperialists.
It'll go
4 yardsticks.
It'll go deeper than they say. They can just only guarantee the full
True.
meter. It's
30
been-
for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
That's-
only
yeah.
for 30
Let's say
minutes.
it's pretty true.
31 minutes and that phone's ruined.
Well, it's never been at the bottom of my pool, but it's been underwater in my pool.
It's been in my pool.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
My iPad's been in my pool.
Nice.
But while you're reading a book on a raft, that's a great way
Well, I
to
have
pass
a
the summer
life-proof
day.
case, and it has been under the water.
Oh.
Huh.
Yeah.
Life proof is waterproof.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, it's
100%.
specifically designed.
I don't trust those things. No matter how much they say, just like with the Gorilla Glass, just like with the
I can
OtterBoxes,
100%
don't trust 'em.
attest to life proof. You
That-
could smack that thing with a
And
brick.
if you want to buy one,
That's what I was
go
gonna
to
say.
www.lifeproofcase.com.
I have taken pictures underwater with my iPad in a life-proof case. It
I
works.
just think I'm gonna literally clip that out of this whole show. I'm gonna send it to him.
Yes.
And it was so.
We want your
I
money.
know I can depend on Life Proof.
I can't.
Yes.
It's the time when I stood up. I didn't back down. I stood up for my beliefs in life proof.
Right.
All right.
All right.
You didn't even give out the email. That whole rant.
RMPodcast at
That's it, guys.
RMProductions.com.
Right there at the
Yes.
bottom of your screen, RMPodcast at Red Moon Productions. Thank you all for
.com.
watching. Did I? Oh yeah, .com.
You gotta,
Add
you
the
gotta
.com.
add- if you don't do that,
Oops,
it goes
then it
nowhere.
don't work.
Yeah, it's not going to go.
It don't work. It don't
You're
go
emailing
nowhere.
nobody.
It
Nope.
goes right where that Life Proof case is going.
Goes
Bottom
to
of the pool.
404 error.
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, that's true too. Cannot send.
Mm.
I wish we had a sound for. You got the Mario sound.
Oh God.
That's it. I like that.
That's
That
a
was
good one.
great.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Red Moon Podcast. As always, thank you all for watching. Right there at the bottom of your screens, also our social media accounts. Like I said at the beginning of the show, like, share, subscribe, because not gay. We're gay because we're happy every week. Hey, that does matter because then you get all of our updates. You can see when we're live. You can tune in, comment, let us know your opinions, your thoughts, your expressions. We love to hear them here on the Red Moon Podcast. So until next time, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Peanut, bacon, smork, quelling, cuddle, swaddling, bit snoot.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
oh gosh,
Bits.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.